right, guys, welcome to the Dream. This is Alaa Jabari. I got
Marquese Watson on the other side of the mic. And tonight, I guess, we have a special guest with us. I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce himself.
My name is Nick Bush, a.k.a. Nick Bush the Realtor. That's where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I am a realtor licensed in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia.
And if you want a house, preferably, this is the guy to go
Let's
to.
go ahead and get our plugs in.
Yeah, if you want a house, I'm the guy you go to. Nobody knows the market in the area better than me. I'm a native. I was born and raised in Annandale, so I can literally walk around that city, with my eyes closed, and pretty much the entire Northern Virginia. So yeah, bro, I kill it.
Little blind box plug, dude.
Yeah.
So you got a phone number they can call?
My phone number is 202-255-9560. My email address is nbush@towerhillrealty.com. Tower spelled Tower. And then, of course, Instagram, Nick Bush the Realtor, Facebook, Nick Bush the Realtor. I have a YouTube channel where I drop videos about the home buying and selling process every Wednesday at 3. So that's youtube.com/Nick Bush the Realtor. And my Twitter is Nick Bush DMV.
And we will put all of that link in the bio.
Yeah.
And everything else.
Nick Bush the Realtor heavy.
I was excited to have this conversation, because I've been wanting to get into. Do you do real estate investing, or
Yeah.
how does that work? Because I've been trying to look into it, but I could never find someone to help me out. My first question is like, what's the first step? You know.
That's a good question. What's the first step? Because there's so many first steps, right? So,
or what step would you take then?
So I think that what most people do, right? First, let's talk about what most people do. There's like a big real estate investing kind of company. It's called Fortune Builders, right?
Right.
And so what most people do is they go to that class, like the 3-day cram course of real estate investing, and they leave that class, they start an LLC, and they think that they should just put 30 offers on, put an offer on 30 different properties, right? And whichever one bites, this is the one they buy.
Gotcha.
You can't do that, and people have been successful doing that. But I would say the first step is, I want to invest in real estate. Let me find a realtor and have a conversation with them, and then create a game plan that's like tailored to you.
Okay.
So, other than that, and some of the questions I would ask as a realtor is, do you have any cash, right?
Right.
So, people think that, you watch HGTV, you think like, okay, I have, $10,000 saved, $15,000 saved. I'm gonna buy something super low from like whatever the sales price is. I'm gonna offer $60,000 under that. They're gonna accept it just because I'm gonna acquire it, and then it's gonna cost $10,000 to renovate, and I'm gonna make $100,000 on the back end. Totally unrealistic, right? So I would say you need to have a bunch of cash, or in this area, around $40,000 is a good amount of money to have to be able to do like a flip, because that's what most people are talking about with investing and flipping homes, right?
Yeah.
By yourself or have some type of other way to get money. So like some people use hard money lending, and then there's private money that you can use also to help you invest.
Do you suggest going into Wyndham's group investment, like people kind of tag team one spot?
Yeah, I mean, to start off, to go in a group investment is positive, because first you want to learn the game, right? So, like I said, it's not just easy to find a property and like flip. You need to kind of learn construction and which contractors are valid and what to look for in a contractor. So a lot of people get burnt by contractors that just are doing the job slow or that aren't solid, right? You need to really understand like the ins and outs. And so going to like a group investment, like Meetup or something is positive. And also that way you'll be able to like JV some deals, like joint venture some deals. If you don't have a bunch of cash, you might say like, look, I have 20. This person has $50,000, but I have the deal, right? So joint venture with me. Basically you can find a mentor in one of those classes, and you have access to some of those off-market properties that you need.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I think that's actually like a really good idea, going to a realtor, especially because, if you're just saying, oh, I got money, right? Just because you have money doesn't mean you have anything. You don't have knowledge. You don't have anything. Well, you can basically kind of Google comps and stuff. Comps, by the way, are, if you don't know them, and correct me if I'm wrong, are generalistically the price per square foot within it, like an area, right?
Comparables are more so when realtors price houses, right? When you're trying to come up with a list price, you're looking at the comparables. Mm-hmm. What you're really looking at is homes that sold in the last 180 days. I like to go back a year sometimes. In that subdivision, county, a mile radius, right? And you're comparing the houses that sold to the house that's listed or that you're listing to come up with the perfect price.
Yeah, so that's also one thing, when you're going to a real estate investment, that also give you an idea where your price point is, and especially you don't want to say, I'm going to make $100,000, right? That might be unrealistic for the area. It just generally you're like, everything you see on TV is not real.
Yeah.
Because it's reality TV for a reason. Reality TV is fake and it's all scripted. But, generally speaking, them going through the house and everything, that's going to be something that's real. But what I would recommend is, going through this process and everything, you would have a realtor who's going to be, your side buddy, but also you would go into a property and you would have a set profit target and you would kind of probably price it a little bit around the market average or a little bit below just in case so you can go in and out. Because flipping houses isn't, I'm going to sit on a house because I want a big profit. It's because I'm going to flip it. Because like I said in the first podcast, you have to have small before you get to big, right? So you have because if you have a bunch of properties and you flip 10 properties for 40 G's, right? But then you just sit there for 6 months. It takes you 6 months to flip 10 properties for 40 G's. That's 400 grand. But you want to sit there for 100 grand for 6 months. That's 300 grand out of your pocket that you just wasted, basically.
Yeah. And a lot of the top investors that I know, right? I don't top, right, whatever, how much they're making, but they like to make $30,000 like minimum on each property, right?
Yeah, that's perfect, yeah.
So that's like their target, right? And then when you invest, you went on the buy side. So let's just say a property's listed at $300,000. I know an investor that automatically has $100,000 to each, potential property. Now, obviously, each property you're not gonna renovate. It's not gonna cost you $100,000 to renovate, but they like to add some margin, and there's a certain equation, right? But you went on the buy side, so the idea is buy low because you can't necessarily predict the complete renovation cost, right?
Wow.
And so you buy low, you renovate, and then you put the home back on the market, but most likely you're paying 5 to 6% real estate costs, closing costs, right? Commissions and closing costs, and you also have to hold the property for, most flippers get in and out of a property in 60 to 90 days. So you have to pay 2 to 3 months of closing, carrying fees. Uh-huh. So you went on the buy side. So that's why if the property is listed at $300,000, you'll see a lot of investors make that $200,000 offer, right? To try to get ahead of the profit margin. But, really you win off market and with the foreclosures and renovations.
So do you get more money off of rentals or actual buying?
I mean, it depends. You can make a lot of money.
I guess it's the same thing, right? Because you have to buy the house to be able to rent.
But are you asking if you make more money buying and hold versus flipping?
Yeah, buying and hold.
Yeah, that's what he's asking. Yeah. He's saying basically, would you make more money if you bought a house and flipped it, or rather, say you held a house for 1, 2, 5 years, maybe renovated it, increased your profit margins a little bit, or something like that?
Those are just two different investment strategies.
Right.
One's a long-term passive income investment strategy. The other one is, a quick, make cash, move on to the next one.
So flipping the house is more short-term and letting someone rent it out is long-term. Gotcha. How'd you get into real estate?
So I was in hospitality. So I started working at the Ritz-Carlton when I was 20 years old. And I worked at some of the other 5-star hotels in the city too, but I was there. And I was a bellman there, actually. But my dad was like, go be a bellman. You'll make tons of cash. It'll be great. I did make tons of cash. It'll be great. I met everybody I ever wanted to be in my life. But, as a bellman, you're just seeing, Bentley pull up, Maserati pull up. You're meeting a successful person that's coming in. At the time, it was called Sports Club LA. But now it's called Equinox, right on 22nd and M. Yeah. Right? It's the Equinox. And, these people are just coming in the gym. So I started to think, I wish I was on the other side of this transaction, right? And so I think that I was never starstruck, right? And even if a CEO came in and I was checking in, I never felt the CEO, I have to just hold him to this high standard and kind of treat him a certain way. I looked at it as an opportunity to ask a bunch of questions, right? I have 5 minutes with this guy. Let me ask him how he became the CEO. And what I found out is successful people like to tell other people how they got successful.
Right.
So I just always would ask questions. And to be honest, I had a friend who, his name's Damon Lawrence. He opened his own hotel in Oakland. It's called Homage Hotels, right? He's a beast. And he graduated from Howard, and he just mentioned like real estate. He was thinking about getting into it. And so I explored it a little bit. And I've interned at a brokerage, right, for a summer. And I was like, this is definitely what I want to do. And honestly, I walked in to my mom's living room one day. I was like 21, 22. And I saw Ryan Serhant get like a $75,000 commission. And I was like, oh, I can make that there. And so that's how I got in. I interned and I stayed in hospitality for a couple of years. And then eventually I just like went full time.
So what steps did you take to get your license?
So interning was a big part of the process because I got to see what the business would look like. And then you just sign up for the class, 60-hour course, right? You sign up. I did the 2.5 week, like 9 to, I knew, like I was like, I'm going ahead. Yeah. So I did like 9 to 5 Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, finished my 60 hours in like 2.5 weeks, took the state exam, and I was at a brokerage. And like that whole process took a month, and I was at a brokerage.
Oh, it's not as bad as I thought, because be seeing people like be training for like 2 or 3 months, and they finally get their license.
Yeah.
I feel like, I guess, if you don't have that much time, or if you have a lot of time to commit, then you can knock it out. But.
Yeah, so what I did, I was just at work, and so I ended up working at the, I left the Ritz, and I was working at the Fairmont on 24th and M, and I was at the front desk, and one day I just was like, all right, this is, the corporate world is not for me. Like, I'm not gonna, because the thing is, right, and what I like about real estate, and what I dislike about the corporate world, right, is like, I probably would be the worst employee, because there's like a bunch of politics, right, obviously in the corporate world, but I didn't like that. Like, I felt like I had mastered the front desk position, right? The operations front of house position. So I was ready to move up. But the corporate world is like, you're in a position for 2 to 3 years. Then you get promoted to another position in 2 to 3 years. And then, you become, a general manager in 10. But that's like all structured, right? If I want to go sell, only $1 million houses tomorrow, I can put myself in that market. If I want to only work with first-time home buyers, I can just put myself in that market, right? So there's no constraints. So one day I just woke up and I was like, yeah, this is it. Like with the corporate world, and I had 14 days vacation. So I just put in vacation for the days where I took my class and got out of there.
Okay. So you do know Ryan? Was it Serhant?
Yeah, Serhant himself.
Yeah.
I always say like Serhant.
Basically, right?
Yeah,
the legend already. Yeah.
$1 billion a year.
Do you ever take like tips and tricks from him?
Yeah, I read his book. He just dropped a book.
Yeah,
Sounded like Serhant.
Yeah.
I read it. I'm gonna definitely read it like 17 more times in my life. Yeah. Like it was the easiest sales book and like the simplest concepts to like to take in and follow. And I've already started. I read it I think in November. And I've implemented like a lot of that stuff, and my business is growing.
I asked Alaa this yesterday. Because I haven't read it yet, did you see it as a sales book or more of a motivational book?
It was a sales book.
Sales book?
Yeah. It was like maybe like 10% motivational.
Gotcha.
And the motivational part was just like him telling his story. Mm. But it was mostly a sales book, man. And because he would put like real transactions into context with some of the sales tactics.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but I've been meaning to pick it up. I'll have to pick it up.
Yeah, it's fire.
That's what I like though about like Serhant, but also what I like about realtors, in the way of like they're kind of similar to me, in the ways of we're both doing our own things. Like we both aren't good with rules or corporate structure, right? Even though I am in the corporate world, I don't have corporate structure, right? Like if I'm gonna hire someone or if I'm gonna basically go up the ladder. I'm going to go up the ladder by myself because, one, I own the freaking thing. But also, if someone under me is going to go up the ladder, I'm not going to have some corporate structure and let them sit there for 2 or 3 years. If I know they can do better and they have potential, I'm going to put that potential in their hands and I'm going to let them fly. I'm going to freaking throw them off the freaking coop. And if they fly, they fly. Because, that's also, like, the thing of, like, learning and stuff like that. So for me, why I think yesterday I mentioned it as like a motivational book is it depending on how you see things, it can be motivational or not, right? For me, that sales book and that structure it was equally as much as a sales book as much as it is a motivational book. And I say that because it showed me how much better I could be, how much better I could do, and how much more I could possibly sell. And so, it taught me how to sell better and all these like tips, quirks, and things like the 3 Fs, the follow through, the follow up, and the follow back, which is honestly amazing. And all people should do that. You shouldn't just be like, oh, this dude's gonna send me an email. I got this account. Boom, let's go. No, you got to follow up with your clients. You got to create that interpersonal relationship. But the main thing is back to the motivational aspect. It's why I saw it is that, and the whole reason for this podcast is to show people and teach people. That's why we asked you those questions. Is anyone can do this. You don't really need a lot of money. You just need to educate yourself. You need to have the drive. And if you put the time and effort into yourself, which is more than anyone could possibly ask you to do for like just generally speaking like a normal corporate job or anything, you could be your own boss essentially, but be your own entity and then move on from there.
Well, those are all like solid points. And for me, like, was it motivational? Right? Sure, it was motivational, but for me, it was mostly motivational because he told me a bunch of ways I can like structure my business, right? Mm-hmm. But
you got more sales out of it.
Because that's what I was looking for when I read the book, right? Like, how does he run his business? But I mean, the motivational part was he made $9,000 his first year, right? Like, he made $9,000 his first year, and he did $1 billion in real estate last year. I'm done. Motivation. Like, I'm motivated. Like, okay, this is possible.
How long has he been a realtor?
I think about 10 years.
10 years.
Because the thing is that they say is the only thing that matters in life, it's not the date you were born or the day that you die, it's what you do in that dash. Mm-hmm. When they put that on your tombstone, what are you going to do?
Yeah, you said that like very focused.
Yeah, no, I mean, because like, listen.
That's true.
Yeah, there's like this one motivational speech that I listen to motivational speeches or like podcasts, whatever it is when I drive, but also like I see them as learning experience, right? Do you guys know who E.T. is? Eric Thomas?
Yeah.
The Beast?
I know you're talking about.
Yeah, that man is a fucking animal. But the thing is, there's this one that I was listening to, I'll send it to you after this as well, and you as well. It's called I Will Be There. Or like, let me take that. There I Will Be, right? It's basically just putting yourself in like that intrinsic motivational like set and just being like, it doesn't matter if, my legs are broken or my legs are weak or whatever it is, you're going to do what you need to do. And it's the same thing when you're a realtor or if you're in my position or Marquese's position, right? You got to do what you got to do, but also, you can't just stay stagnant, right? Like you said, those people who only want to sell like $1 million homes, right? Within this area, there's not that many people that can buy $1 million home.
Or just like there's a bunch of $800,000 homes.
Yeah, it's like what's the difference? You're still gonna get a pretty decent commitment. Yeah. It's like you're still gonna make money, but you're kind of differentiating yourself and putting yourself in this, I wouldn't say egotistical position, but you're saying, that's like you said, you can put yourself in any kind of market because you're adaptable.
I don't think that it's negative to only want to sell $1 million house. Right?
No, it's not negative, but I'm saying you can also, like say you have the opportunity to sell maybe like $800,000, $700,000, $500,000 house. You're not going to say no because I don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, right, like the term, the riches are in the niches, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Everybody has a niche, right? I work really well. Me and my lender, James, we work really well with first-time home buyers. We crush it, right? I know the loan types, like we know how to make it not like seem overwhelming, right? We crush it in that category. But I look at real estate more as like a volume business, right? So if I'm only selling $1 million homes, what if those slow up, right? What if people that can afford $1 million homes aren't buying homes at this time?
Yeah, so you got to be able to drop back down. And
you have to be able to drop back down. Or what if, the first-time home buyer is so overwhelmed with student loan debt that they can't save the 3.5% that they might need or the 3% that they might need, right? Then maybe I should go sell $1 million homes. But I should definitely focus on both categories and do as many deals in each category as possible, right? So real estate is more volume. And when I'm doing that, I'm creating a bunch of relationships. So maybe somebody that bought a $400,000 house knows someone who can buy $1 million property, right? So I just got a referral from that person. Mm-hmm. So I think only selling one type of home or just to look at the consumer that way, you're really kind of putting yourself behind.
Well, is there a situation where you're going to be like, nah, I'm not even going to try?
No. Definitely not.
Not yet?
Definitely not. I've sold the first house I sold was $153,000. It was a condo, a 1-bed, 1-bath. My client was 22. He made $33,000. He worked at Target. He made only $33,000. His wife was he was married, but his wife didn't work. And he told me up front, this is 2016. He was like, I can't afford anything over $1,400. We found him that 1-bed, 1-bath condo. It was like 800 square feet for $153. His mortgage was $1,381. That if that didn't happen, I wouldn't have realized that. Oh, everybody can do this. Like, if they just follow the steps, right? Like, you would think, like, oh, I make $30,000. Can I buy a house? Some people might think no. Like, he had $12,000 like in this like investing account, so he had a little bit of down payment, and we made it happen. So that set the foundation. So when I look at somebody and they're just like, oh, I can't buy, I don't have enough money, I'm like, look, to engage me in this process for the next 2 weeks of your life, just like, let me teach you how to do this. Here's my lender that I work with. Reach out to him and help and let him get you pre-approved. And I promise you, we're gonna get you. Like, you just have to follow the steps.
Will there be a time where you're like, say you're selling the $1 million houses, and then someone comes to you like, hey, I heard about you. Can you sell me this? Or I'm trying to buy like a $500,000, $400,000. Would you just do it yourself, or would you just hire someone that you trust to come down and sell it for you?
Oh, he's saying like, would you refer it off?
No, never. I won't be that guy ever.
Yeah, same thing with me. It's like, you know, what I like about you and what you said about referrals is, you know, just it doesn't matter about the relationships. And like I said earlier, you have to do small to get to big, right? So, you know, like if I have a client, say he pays maybe $100 a month, $200 a month. I'm not saying that, you know, that's not our quotes or anything, but I'm saying maybe he just pays for like $175 package or whatever it is. And then he moves on, but then again, I still have that relationship, and we're still going to work for him. Like, he's paying me $100,000 a month.
Yeah, I would never want to be the guy that people said, "Oh, I wanted to buy a house from him, but it wasn't $1 million, so he didn't help me." That's terrible. Yeah, I never wanted, like, if that's what people say to me at the dinner table to like their family, I would never do that. Yeah, and plus, like, I didn't grow up in $1 million house. I enjoy like helping the person who doesn't think home buying is possible. Right. That's like when I get my high. When I'm like, that's when I get like my rocks off. Like, oh, you don't think you can do it? Let's make it happen.
What I was trying to get at is because Ryan, he has like a
team.
Yeah, he has a team. So I guess the better way to come at it is when someone comes to the team instead of like Ryan specifically. Yeah. Then you would pick and choose who gets it.
The way the team thing is structured, pretty much in like real estate, is you know, when you get so busy just individually, right, you hire an admin and then you hire a buyer's agent, right? Yes. And so most of the top agents are focusing mainly on the list side of the transaction. So in that case, sure. So if you're the leader of the team, if it's, you know, you essentially start your own company and you're only doing listings and, you know, you have a buyer's agent, then it's fine to pass that off, right? But you're passing that off to somebody in your team and it's for a specific reason, right? Because you've entered a new niche. So that's fine. But just to, you know, not even, you know, entertain that lead.
I don't even think, I don't know how he operates, Ryan, but I don't even think it works like that. I think it's just, if someone contacts someone on his team, they just do it themselves.
Yeah, I mean, he has like 40 people on his team. $1 billion.
He has like, what's it called? He has like the Soho, the Brooklyn office, like what's it called? I like to do research on people, so I know a lot about the guy. But he has the Hamptons. He has San Diego and LA. That also is like when you were asking that question, what went through my head was that it's just that also there's way more volume up in New York or California than there is a little bit more than here. It's like a little bit fast paced because there's also more new development and stuff like that. But also there's still new developments in DC and stuff like that.
But to answer your question, kind of, I will start a team eventually, and like maybe everything that comes in, I want to handle personally, right? Right. But definitely somebody on my team will. Yeah, I want to eventually get into new construction too. So
all I know is Ryan better pay us for this one.
Listen, I'm gonna send an invoice to Ryan Serhant at serhant.com. Wait for it, it's coming. But yeah, you know, like going off the thing, it's like. And what I really appreciate and like what you saw is like, you know, you get rocks off just helping someone out, right? Like I do a bunch of pro bono stuff with just helping people build their brands or, you know, make a company or whatever it is. Maybe if it's like such a good idea, I'll make it a subsidiary of one of my companies, right? Like one of my buddies, he has a like a web security basically company, and he freelances for me. So for Viral Dreams, we also do like web security and stuff for websites because that's something that's like extremely important, and especially with like all the privacy issues that happened in 2018, they're going to be being implemented right now within the aspects of like the internet and stuff like that. But so I'm basically seeing that as him freelancing for me. I'm investing in him, right? So then, but then once he starts his company, I'm going to own a percentage of it, and then it's going to be under my company, and that's basically just going to be an extension of me. So like you said, like you're going to build a team, or like say someone comes up to you after this podcast and he's like, oh man, I heard about you, I live in the area. He's like, well, can you tell me about real estate? So maybe you get so big, or maybe that person is like has a network as well, and you can use that network, and you can basically use that as a building block. And then I think they get like 1% of every like person on their team or something like that. So then that's where it would go. Yeah. And then like for me, it's 10%, right? It's 10% if you're just like some schmuck. Well, I'm not calling you a schmuck, but you're saying basically just if you're someone off the street, or basically if you're someone that knows me, Viral Dreams offers 10% of whatever that account is for the first month to that person. Maybe that money is like say they make $33,000 a year at Target, right? Maybe it's a $50,000, $60,000 contract or whatever it is. Boom, they get 5-6 G's in their pocket. But also the thing is, also that can be me investing in them in the future. Maybe they want to do something in the future, or maybe they just know a lot of those people, and then maybe they start a career with me or something like that. So then also for my clients who are listening to this, we have like a 15% referral thing, right? Or 10% depending on how big your account is. It's like it's just reinvesting back into you, right? So say you bring me a client, I'm going to give you 15% off of whatever. And then basically what I'm doing is, I'm taking a loss, but also I'm investing in you in the future, in our relationship in the future, and as well as other things like that. So that's the way I see it. So real estate investment is, or like just like real estate in general is like, well, it is a sales job and things like that, but also it's a relationship.
It's all relationships. I think every house I've sold has come off of like it's fear or referral. I'm all based referral, and that's like every agent's dream. So I've never had to do the for sale by owner thing or the Inspire thing, and like door knock. Those things are all great to do, and like people sell 100 homes doing those things. But for me, luckily, I've been able to brand myself and just work, all referral, and that's like literally the best way to go about it.
So we're gonna start ending it here, guys. But would you say you're living the dream, sir?
Am I living the dream? I definitely am living the dream because.
I mean, hey, that's what's up. I mean, look, I feel like I'm living the dream, even though I'm making X amount, he's making X amount, Marquese making X amount. It doesn't matter. It's like what we talked about before. What we're gonna keep talking about is just mentality, right? You are in control of your own destiny. You are the one who makes you happy and things like that. So, we'll see you guys next time.